A big hello to everyone. This is the video I guess people wanted to see the most. It's going through some of the details of the paper 2 pre-release material. But before we get into that, of course, what I did on the paper 1 pre-release material was show some of the playlists, and as you'll know, the channel has grown this year. I'm currently working on these 2 playlists, so I will have those done over the next couple of days, 2B and 2C from June 2022. But 2A is done, 1 is done. Then I've done 2A and 2C for a couple more of the exam series. So we are trying to grow that. Trying to grow the channel. Why have I put question 1 observations? Actually, I know exactly what I'm doing for question 1. So, in all of these papers, 2A, 2B, 2C, over the last few years, there's been a bit of a pattern for these questions. So, question 1, I've noticed in general, is normally 7 marks. And there will be some ratio involved. So, you need to be able to simplify ratio. And be able to read that question carefully to make sure you get things the correct way round. If you have a look at my 2022 paper, made a small mistake on that and put the wrong answer, putting the ratio the wrong way around. But you normally are asked to simplify within that. And then there'll be like a statement. So you'll be given a couple of statements. So 2 statements. Let me just write this down. And you'll have some data. And you need to comment on the validity of those statements. So as I said, you'll have some data. That data may need to be processed to create a ratio, but also you may be able to, someone will say, oh, well, I think that such and such is over 70%. And then you'll have to work out and see whether that is actually true or not by using the data that you've been given. So that happens quite a lot. 7 marker, so that comes onto all papers. 2A, 2B, 2C. And then question 2, you'll be given some data and you will need to suggest some improvements within there. And then there's lots of different things. So data presented again. And then suggest an improvement, which I will talk about when we go into that prelim stuff. But this is probably linked to the prelim. So you'll normally get 2 marks for that. And then they'll just come up with lots of ideas. Now, this is normally worth 13 marks. So we'll be looking into what kind of questions could appear. But suggesting those improvements, you have to be careful what you say. Please do look back at some of the previous questions that I've answered for question 2 on paper 2. Because there will be lots of similarities with them. There's kind of like a generic answer, I suppose, where you could say add grid lines or present it slightly differently, such as having the percentages on your bar chart, things like that you can then get those marks for. Okay, so graph 1, I've got a question there, but before I do that, I'm going to talk you through graph 1 because, as I'm sure you know, we cannot put the prelim material online. I can't show it, but I can talk you through it, which is not a problem. So the first part, it says the economics of music streaming. There's a lot of words there. The first paragraph I've kind of ignored, but make sure you've read it before you go into the exam, because you're going to have to understand some of the words that are within it and the context of this. But graph 1 says the daily and weekly active UK users of leading music streaming services. And this is in April 2020. Along the top, they've got average age. So within each of those businesses, you've got Google Play, you've got Deezer, you've got Amazon, and they've put the average age across. And what might come up here is say, what improvement can you make to this graph? And I would suggest that you would put that average age somewhere else. We've also got daily active users, weekly active users. It doesn't really classify whether it's of that platform. I guess it is. But those daily users will sum to 87% across the whole, 137 on weekly. I don't know if that's something you're going to take into account, actually, but that's just a bit of information. You'll notice that the weekly active users are all above the daily active users. So that tells its own story. So Apple Music, 7% for daily and 10% for weekly. What other comments have I made here? No. That's pretty much it for graph 1. So using this graph, and you should have your prelim material with you, we've got question 1 here, which says Amazon Prime Music have 80 million consumers. how many of these are weekly active users. So I want you to pause the video, have a go at this, and then push play when you want to see me go through that answer. Okay, that's enough time, hopefully. So we have 80 million consumers, so 80. How many of these were weekly active users? This is on Amazon Prime. So if we go to Amazon Prime, so that's Amazon Music Prime, or Amazon Prime Music, not Amazon Music Unlimited, the weekly active users was 18%. So we're going to multiply that by 0.18. I should have had my calculator in front of me, shouldn't I? That's lazy. So 80 times by, and have it in the correct mode, 80 times by 0.18, that gives us 14.4. So we would be suggesting that 14.4 million would be the amount of weekly active users that they have. And of course, they could ask you about the dailies as well. Okay, question 2. SoundCloud have 20 million consumers. How many of these are daily active users? So you have to find that daily one and do a similar thing. So pause the video, have a go, and see if you get the same answer as me. Okay, so SoundCloud, 20 million. So I'm going to have 20. Multiply that by SoundCloud daily active users. SoundCloud daily active. So that's 3%. So 0.03. So 20 times by 0.03 is 0.6 million. Or you could go for 600,000 daily active users. Okay, so as you can tell, there's percentages on this diagram, and a lot of my work has been very percentage bias, and I guess that this is what they will be using. So question 3, Spotify have 27 million daily active users. How many weekly active users do they have? So pause the video, have a go at this one, and then hit play when you're ready. Okay, so our total for Spotify will have been multiplied by something to give 27.7 million. So Spotify, quite a big one there, and that's their daily active users. So something multiplied by 0.25 gave us 27.7 million. So our total will be 27.7 divided by that 0.25. Let's run that through the calculator now. And that is 110.8. That would be their total people that are using their platform. And then we simply multiply that value by the weekly active users, which for Spotify is 35%. So we're going to multiply that one. That's by 0.35, and that is 38.78 million weekly users. Okay, super. Have we got any more questions? Yeah, we've got one. Right, so the simplified ratio I've just said here, which one's reduced to 1 to 2? So that's going to be between, what do I want to say here? Oh, my projector sounds like it's going to blow up. Between their daily and weekly. So daily to weekly, which one's simplified to 1 to 2? I'm going to give you the opportunity to pause the video and then have another go. Okay, hopefully you've had a go at that. Sorry, I'm really distracted by the projector that sounds like it's going to explode. I'm sure that's not the case. So on Deezer, they've got 2% to 4%. We've also got Amazon Prime Music, and that is 9% to 18%. And that's it. They may ask you to do some others, or they may say which one is twice as much, or which one's 3 times as much, but that is something that could come up. So just simplify that ratio. They do like ratio within this part of the paper. Okay, I'm going to pause my recording now, and then I will rejoin you shortly when I've sorted this projector out. Actually, I'm going to end this video. So this has been part 1, because I've almost gone to 10 minutes. And then I will continue this video for part 2, where I will hopefully see you guys soon.